And I woke up this phone call and he says, the police is at my door and they are taking me. I love you. Maybe this is the last time that we will speak in a long time. And that's how I found out. That was the last time that I spoke with him. I haven't spoken to him in 8 months. When he was in Istanbul on September 25, 2020, a door knocks. He wakes up in the morning and the police is at the door and tells them that they will need to detain him. And he asks why. They say there's secrecy, so we don't know. We cannot tell you. They immediately took him to a detention center where they didn't let him see his lawyers for 36 hours. So he had no connection, no communication with the outside world. And they didn't give him any proper clothes or anything. It was dark in a basement cell. And then they transferred him from Istanbul to Ankara, where they kept him in solitary confinement for 8 days. They took him to a prison in Ankara, where he is currently staying. First month, they still kept him in solitary confinement for 1 month. Turkey does not recognize same-sex relationship. Although we have been together for 10 years and we are a family, I am not seen as part of his family, so I am not able to speak with him. However, I can exchange letters with him. So we exchange weekly letters just to give each other some updates. And that takes about 10 days for the letters to arrive. So we are never actually communicating, we're always trying to catch up. It was actually 2 Facebook posts that he had reposted, 2 news stories that are still up and active today. One is a news article that he posted from a national newspaper in Turkey, which basically talks about a man's cry for losing 2 of his sons to the war in southeastern Turkey. And he says, I just don't want to lose my other son. And Cihan says, no to wars, yes to peace. We need people to survive and to be alive. And the other one is an official statement by HDP. So basically, Turkey saw Cihan's post of HDP news story as a criminal activity. Cihan was taken due to his former membership to People's Democratic Party in Turkey, that's HDP. So 7 years ago, he was a member of the party. He was one of the youth members of the party at that time. But when the indictment came in January 2021, we learned that it was actually linked back to Kobane protests, which are known as 6-8 October 2014 protests in Turkey, because maybe you will remember at that time, people took to the streets to ask Turkey to step in and take action in northern Syria, that's Turkey's border, in Kobane town, when ISIS terrorist organization was attempting a massacre towards predominantly Kurdish society in that region. So people took to the streets, the protest turned violent. So that's why they are now, 7 years later, accusing all those members of the party at that time for being members of terrorist organizations. So he joined to the party, to HDP, to really dream about a peaceful country. Cihan is part of the Green Party as well. So he was a part of HDP as a member of a Green Party as representing Turkish Greens. And as part of the green agenda, one of the most important principles is nonviolence. So Cihan is, no matter what, he would always be against any type of violence. So now he is being accused of being a member of a terrorist organization, which is completely against his human nature. On May 18th, there is going to be a trial where he will appear before the judges as part of a broader group. So it's not only his case, but as part of this case, there are about 27 other officials, elected mayors, journalists, other activists involved. We don't know when he will actually appear before the judge. So that's our concern. But our lawyers are very optimistic for Cihan because there is no evidence, not even a single proof. And also European Courts of Human Rights made a ruling last year saying that call for peaceful protests and what happened in those protests, there is no connection to that. HDP never made a call that said go and attack people. We're optimistic about what's about to come. His spirit is very high, his morale is high, he's producing. He wrote a book chapter when he was in prison. He wrote 4 articles. He has read about 50 to 60 books. So he's fully focused on reading, producing, writing, and making sure that he continues his PhD studies while behind bars. We reached to the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention. This is basically a group that looks at different human rights cases around the world. It's a small secretariat in Geneva. And they took our letter. Of course, they asked a lot of questions and we responded. We provided all the facts together with the lawyers in Canada and Turkey. And then they asked Turkey for a defense, and Turkey made a defense statement, which is very funny, I have to tell you, based on what's going on, the realities versus how Turkey sees that. Then we made another defense, responded to that. So if when the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention makes the decision, this will be very important because it will clearly show that at international grounds, this is a fully arbitrary and unlawful detention. Meaning, if Turkey wants to comply with international bodies, they will have to release Cihan and the others immediately. In Canada, if you're a permanent resident, you're Canadian. Canadian government hesitated first, I have to be honest, and waited for some time. And then finally, I think with also both public pressure, but also they started understanding what was really going on. They have been very strong in their reactions together with us. They made inquiries to Turkey. They now have a consular officer in Ankara who is looking at this case. They're monitoring the trials, they're reporting, we know, back to the Canadian government. And we hope that Cihan will also become a Canadian citizen soon. We are hoping Canadian government will grant him citizenship, which he actually deserves. And this will be an important step for Canada to make in stronger stand and presence in Cihan's case. Now, I would like to read a message from Cihan's letter to the public. Cihan says, if they want to find links to an organization, the only address to be found is the honest academics and intellectuals of the country and the world that I feel honored to work with, activists who are trying to make the world a better place, my friends, relatives, my family, and my spouse. With the belief of righteousness, as I always try to do, I will continue to pursue truth, reason, conscience, humanity, and the common good for all living things without hurting anyone, without losing intellectual integrity. We have a funding campaign on GoFundMe page, Free Cihan Erdal. 2 other immediate actions would be writing letters to the Turkish embassies in their respective countries, in bringing this case, bringing Cihan's story and making inquiries, and also writing their own embassies to make sure that the trial coming should be monitored.